Hey guys, so been talking with our staff a lot about what's wrong with Cody Bellinger. You know, he's had some injuries in the past couple of years, and this year he's been really struggling. So what we did is we just kind of went on Baseball Savant and we kind of went around and looked at a couple swings of when he was doing really well. In particular, the video that we have on the right here is from 2018. Connor, our new guy, he was mad that it was a Mariners one because, you know, he's a Mariners fan, so he didn't really like the abuse, but we're using it anyway. We're just going to compare these two videos, and we're going to kind of see, like, are there some things that 2021 Cody Bellinger could learn from 2018 Cody Bellinger. So first off, before I get going on this, I do want to say that, like, I'm not really a fan of like cherry picking swings and just being like, all right, like let's find a swing that's like purposely bad and not what we're looking for. So I acknowledge that like we're looking at this swing on the left here is a swing and a miss on a strikeout, and this swing on the right here is a home run. So like we could like say, okay, well, that's not what he does every time. That's just a mistake he's making this time. But that said, we did look at a lot of videos from 2021 where he was swinging and missing, and he was making pretty consistent mistakes on those. So I don't want to say that I have like a huge data set to be able to say like this is what Cody Bellinger should do, and you know he should come work with Ignite Baseball or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there's a couple things that he's doing very correct on the right, and there's some things that he's doing very wrong on the left that I think we can just kind of learn from. Okay, so let's get into it. The first thing that I'm going to do, and I already did this, is I'm going to sync them up to heel plant. So basically you'll see that the video on the left and the video on the right, they both get to heel plant at the same time. So there's heel plant in both videos. So I'll run it back to the beginning so we can kind of time up how they're moving. And the first thing that you guys are going to notice is that Bellinger's barrel tip on the right. When I say barrel tip, I just mean like the time that he starts moving this thing. So like you're gonna see his barrel kind of goes from here, and it kind of goes up this way. Okay, so clear that, and you'll see it on the right. Cool. So his barrel tip on the right, okay, is gonna start long before the barrel tip on the right, or on the left. Sorry. So take a look right here. We'll say that his barrel tip is starting right there. So I'll just take a timer and I'll slap it on this one, and we'll see the difference between when he starts on the right and when he starts on the left. And I'd say it's about 0.2 seconds, something like that. You can see him starting to move right at that like 0.19, 0.2 range. That's huge in hitting. We want to be able to start early, so when we start our stride early and start our loading pattern early, it allows us to do less when the ball is in the air and really just focus on making the swing that we want. But because we start late, a lot of times we can kind of run into some problems. Another thing that you're going to notice is the position of his barrel tip. So like when we get to the fullest extent of the barrel tip, so like right there on the right, I'm just going to draw a line there. I'll zoom in and I'll draw a line. And if I were to go straight up and down on that line of his barrel, you can see that that is to the right of vertical. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is like this line right here, like the next to the Nintendo Switch ad is vertical. Right, and you can see that his bat is going further to the right than vertical, okay? And then when we look, and I'll round back to that in a second, okay? When we look at on the left, he never gets to vertical. So if I zoom in here, and I draw a line on this, okay, I'll just change colors. Ooh, didn't mean to do an arrow. Change colors, you can see that this is the peak of his barrel tip right there. So you can see that that lines up differently. I don't really have like a point of reference except for maybe this chair. So I'll just draw that point of reference right there so you guys can see it. So there's that chair. Okay, so on the right, he goes past vertical. On the left, he's left of vertical. Okay, so a couple differences there. This is pretty important as far as sequencing. So like When that barrel goes past vertical, what happens is our top hand, so for Bellinger, because he's a lefty, his left hand, when it goes past vertical, it means his left hand is getting ahead of his right hand relative to his chest. So what I mean is, like, Bellinger's standing with his chest facing kind of like the dugout almost, maybe a little bit behind the dugout, right? His right hand, because of his barrel position, we know is more, I'll delete this because it's getting a little bit busy. We know that his right hand, meaning his front hand, is more this way of his left hand because of his barrel position, and we know that his left hand is more this way. And when your arm is in front of you, when your like left arm is leading and you're like, let's say, running, okay, the next motion that you're going to make with that leading arm is you're going to pull it into you. And when you have an arm that's trailing, let's say you're running, the next motion that you're going to make with that is to push it away from you. So when we get Bellinger on the left and he doesn't get that left hand like this way enough, or the barrel past vertical, what ends up happening is he gets a little bit more pushy with his swing, because the next motion that he's going to make, instead of pulling in with that trailing hand, is going to be, or with that top hand, is going to be pushing out, because instead of it being the leading hand like it is on the right, it's the trailing hand. So it's a little bit complex, and I can actually just make a video and I'll slap it in here to explain that a little bit better, so you guys know what I'm talking about. But it's a pretty important thing, and it really allows the sequence to go like we want it to. And you can see on the left here, those hands kind of creep down a little earlier than we want. So let me zoom out so you can see it a little bit better. So when he gets to landing, boom, here's heel plant, just like we talked about, right? You can see that his hands are already starting to creep towards the baseball a little bit, whereas on the right, those hands stay back a tick longer, which allows the body to grab the barrel, propel it through the zone, and to hit this ball a long way. So the couple things that we see here is that he's starting really, really late, like 0.2 seconds later on the left than he is on the right. That barrel doesn't get past vertical, which can create some sequencing problems, and those hands are starting to slip down a little bit earlier than we necessarily would want. A lot of times this can spell issues for hitters, right? So when we start this late, we're forced to rush movements, and really, like with most of the 2021 swings that we looked at with him, that's kind of what we saw. So a couple things that he can learn, like from a past version of himself is, don't rush. Like, you got to start early enough to be able to get your swing off in the way that we want to. He seemed like he was really comfortable getting that barrel in that kind of past vertical position, which was leading to him taking really confident swings. And that's not what he's doing now. So maybe it's something he should be getting back to. Also, like, we want to make sure that our body's kind of grabbing our barrel and our hands are the last thing to go. And honestly, like, getting that barrel in that past vertical position like we see over here on the right is kind of a cheat code for doing that right every single time. So if I were his hitting coach, that'd probably be what I tell him to do. But I also would have a much bigger data set in front of me to be able to evaluate this stuff. So, we would have to look at a lot more before we make these decisions. But this is just the first thing that I see here that we probably could work on. Ready?
Yeah, go.
All right, so we were just talking about Cody Bellinger in this video. I just wanted to go into a little bit more detail on what we were talking about with regard to like the verticality of his barrel. So I'll do a right-handed Cody Bellinger. I'm just going to be better at it, so that's what we'll do. So Bellinger, 2018, I'll kind of do a him impression. Here he is, right? Boom, and then he gets into his swing. So the thing that you'll notice is that my barrel right now is past vertical. So like this would be vertical, this is past vertical, this would be like behind vertical. So, but he looks like this in 2021. So what we generally would be looking for with that past vertical motion, what's really, really important about it is that when I get here, I'll do it like I'm facing this way. When I get here, my top hand, so for me, my right hand, for him, his left hand, is now in front of where my left hand is. So right now, my left hand is more this way than my right hand. And if I go like this, my left hand is in front and my right hand is trailing. So a principle of human movement is that the leading arm always pulls and the trailing arm always pushes. So here I am, I'm running, right? Felt, whatever. So I'm running, I'm in this position, like I'm in my stride. My right hand is my leading arm, my left hand is my trailing arm. So in my next motion, this arm's gonna pull and this arm's gonna push. Boom, and then they just reverse. And that's how running and walking work, right? So we can kind of hijack gait mechanics in order to get the results that we're looking for, and that's something that 2021 Bellinger isn't really doing, or at least in the videos that we watched of him, that he's not really doing, which may contribute to some of the stuff that he's going through. But 2018 Bellinger did a great job of that. So he would get that top hand, or he would get his top hand and would make it become the leading arm, so that way when he started, everything instinctively wanted to pull in, which creates the patterns that we're looking for. Because in the beginning of our swing, we want our top hand to pull in, and then as we're extending through the ball, we want that arm to then push out later. So it's pull in, push out. What he was doing in 2021 is he's here, so that way that pull in is never happening the way we want to. We'll get here, and then it's just kind of more pushy.